Prem Samalo Mahapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. Cordial welcome everybody, coming to you live from the Sri Krishna Seva Ashram as we join together for our third night of this Ramayan Yagya, Gyan Yagya, taken from the pages of the Tulsidas Ramayan. Tonight I'm reading again from the Gita Press version of the Tulsidas Ramayan. And in it we have been talking about the katha between Kakabhsundi and Garud, which is found in Uttara of the Tulsidas Ramayan. In the past 2 nights we have ventured to listen to their conversation. How did Garud find Kakabhsundi? Kakabhsundi is talking now. The night, that was the first night. Second night, Kakabhsundi spoke about how he had entered into the baby form, because Garud wanted to know more and more. First he starts off with doubts, and then he wanted to know the story of Kakabhsundi. If the feet of Sri Ram is so holy, how is it that you are in, this situation? How did you get to be here? How did you become so knowledgeable? And he continues with that question in tonight. And in the journey of Kakabhsundi, last night we heard how he goes into the stomach of Sri Ram as a little boy, and he's able to see multiple universes, where he sees multiple devatas, Brahma, Shiva, and the wondrous sight that he sees. And when he's bewildered, and in this moment he gains this love, this adoration. Hundreds of years, hundreds of lives would have been passed as he went from one universe to the next, and it shows how Sanatan Dharma is leading what we are now discovering in terms of the knowledge of the universe, the study of time. When he was in the belly, hundreds and hundreds of years are passing as he spent time looking at the Lord's work in different universes. And when he came out of the stomach, as Sri Ram sent him out, when he couldn't take too much for him to compute, only an hour passed, and Sri Ram continues playing in the baby form. And he has told Garud how many cycles he has been alive, and he's in this form looking on. How many times he has seen Sri Ram take birth time and time again, and he relishes the opportunity to be in Ayodhya. If anything, amongst the teachings that we have been listening to, we hear a lot about Ayodhya. Many people hear of Ayodhya, but they don't understand the benefit. Last night we heard about the person who is able to reside in Ayodhya, visit Ayodhya, do puja in Ayodhya, and we will hear more about it as it continues into tonight's discourse. Tonight we continue where we left off as we search for information, as we delve deeper into this particular discourse that I wanted to do for you, because it teaches a lot about devotion, bhakti, and in educating Garud, it serves to educate us in bringing up our standard of spirituality, because we will hear about Kali Yuga. We hear a lot about Kali Yuga in various texts, but in Ramayan, Kakabhsundi, because he is somewhat of a time traveler, he could go forward and backward, and he has seen the cycles of time come and go, and he is there constant. He could speak to what the different ages, how people pray in the different age, how people act in Kali Yuga, and then based on all his experience, he says Sri Ram is the answer. So he is very apt, and this is why Lord Shiva sent Garud in the first place to Kakabhsundi, because he is able as a bird to guide a bird, and they understand each other and their language as they interact, as Lord Shiva does tell in the beginning in our first night. He does tell Parvati Mata, this is why I didn't give him the answer readily as that. Tonight, as we get together to listen again, we will hear who is the guru of Kakabhsundi. We will hear why he is in the crow form. How is it that he had the benefit of doing all this goodly and godly things? He's considered so close to Sri Ram, but he's in a crow form. Why does he exist in this form? How was he tested? You know, tonight you're looking at me and I want this katha to reach you at a personal level, in that you're doing good, and we all, you know, we're doing charity. And you know, I always share the moments with you, whether you're watching me abroad or locally in Trinidad, encouraging people. You know, when last we were in when we had gone to do Yag in New York, we were collecting pampers, adult pampers, to send it off to people. We did with families over there in the States, and then we shipped some to Trinidad to help people who needed pampers, amongst other food items and so on. And whether we are in Trinidad, north, south, wherever we may be, locally or foreign, charity, as you'll hear tonight, charity is one of the mechanisms by which a person can attain good. So there are different forms of charity. It doesn't necessarily mean a person has to spend a lot of money, but they could give their time. The person could clean the environment. You could do Seva to help people. I always use the example, if I'm a plumber, I could give my hands, my ability. I could turn a pot to help feed people. There are different ways a person can find the time and find a way to give some charity, some Seva. It's just we maybe have to become, you know, inventive, associate, as we heard a lot last night, and we'll hear it again tonight, associate with saintly, goodly, godly guided people, so that your efforts, whether meek or major, would be appreciated. You know, we don't want to end up in a society where only or in a circle of people where only the millionaire is valued and the person with meager amounts of cash or effort or ability is passed over or looked less than. Instead, each person that is a child of God should be allowed the opportunity to contribute in word, maybe in their opinion. When I say word, let's make a plan. Let's help cook this takari today, or the prasad today, or I would like to make the laddu for Ganesh Baba, you know, the mala, whatever it be, little or major. Giving time to young people. You know, I grew up with my grandmother. Always go and pick up all the book, and I go cook the sada, whatever. All what happened is we grew up not knowing how to make sada roti. And there are many examples that rob young people of the ability to make the mistake. And I used to tell her, leave we to make, whether it's, you know, you're making fudge, or you're making food, or you're making juice, leave we to me. And I practice this today with all the youth and them in the temple and in all the class and everything. Leave we to make the mistake in this regard, where we're experimenting, you know, to make the parasad, to turn the pot, just a cooking example. Because you are still there to guide and correct and coach we. But if you don't give the young head an opportunity in charity, prayers, in this type of practice, they wouldn't have that practice embedded, inculcated in them. When will the training happen? When they grow up now, and you will hear in Kaliyog, Garud talks about, you know, children listen and love parents until they find, you know, it's adult and they find somebody and they want to live otherwise. That is explained tonight, and it is happening. If you don't give children the opportunity to involve themselves, they might overpatch the parasad, they might underput salt or underput sugar. Don't get upset or get angry and you know, really ridicule. They're trying, and you know, practice make perfect. So in that regard, just as how we have to find a balance between adults and children, we have to find balance between the girls and the boys. We have to find balance between the millionaire and the person who does not have the finance to give in that way, but maybe they have 2 tomatoes growing on the tree, two coconut. You still need them thing in your prayers or your pot. Boy, everybody have a part to play. And in this way we come together, everybody work together with respect. And we do charity to help people that may be in need to help themselves. We don't only help Hindu people or people that look like you and I, or people who have the same sexuality like you and I, or people who, who spend or shop or only eat vegetarian. No, no. If you're thinking like that, then part of what we talked about last night and tonight applies, because we cannot only think some is God's children, and everybody else, I guess, belong to somebody else or somewhere else. No, our job in this life is to find ways and mechanisms to get the blessing, to get the help. And yes, we sing bhajan, we do puja, all that is very good. And if you have reached there, God bless you. But the path that we have to strive to find Prabhu, as Garud is saying, as Kakabhsundi is saying tonight, it takes more, it takes a little more from you. He wants to purify you. He wants to clean you of all the burdens of the past sins, praschit. And whilst we have worship, it is not only worship. Because Ravan worshipped too, but he was very misguided at one point in his life. And all the prayers, he took the prayers, but he was praying, bless me to do what I want. Bless me to be able to overrun everybody. Bless me to harm, hinder, hurt, and I must be successful. So in a different way, you don't want to allow your children spiritual power, secular knowledge power, financial power, but they don't have an inkling of morality or spirituality in their life. Then they get out there and they become monsters. They don't listen to mother and father. When the hair start to get a little more gray and you start to slow down, they want to speed up and do it their way. Instead, what we should strive to do is to have a balancing act, whilst giving children the opportunity to learn and grow when they become of age. We also have to make the time to teach them when they are under age, so that God bless, when they reach that age, they want to hear your opinion. They want to work with you. They want to make you proud. Like me, when I make that first salad roti, I had to show my grandmother and my mother, watch how this thing come out. I had to eat my roti. I didn't want to show anybody else it, if you understand my point. Tonight we continue along this line, but I want you to understand the questions that Garud is asking and listen to the advice in the way, because when Kakabhsundi is talking, he uses a lot of examples. He uses a lot of metaphors to show you, to paint the image in your mind. For this reason, when this katha is being read, it is just to read the genuine text and allow the person to visualize by repetition and listening to the text, the speech, the conversation. It will set in the person's mind, and the person is able to develop better because of it. But if we water it down, if we cut out some parts of the text, then the person is robbed of the experience of Prabhu Shri Ram. As you will see, it's a lot. Excuse. And we do not want to rob ourselves, we don't want to rob others, we don't want to rob children. So this yagya, just like the others that we've done in this month, with the inauguration happening with Prabhu Shri Ram, it is a renaissance. It is an eye-opening moment for Hindu people. Now is a time to have pride in your dharma. Not because the temple opened means that we fall back. But instead, if we get to know our dharma, if we listen, learn, develop, remember what maybe you knew for the elders here, what you knew when you were younger. In this way, by listening and reapplying ourselves, we'd be able to better our circumstance and situation. Tonight, we will hear that even after getting grace and blessings, Kakabhsundi is still tested, hurted, damaged. He is transformed. However, when you and I, when bad things happen, we give up, we walk away, we throw away, we fade. Last time we heard about the importance of knowledge, fostering the love, growing, all these different steps as you walk towards Prabhu. Tonight we hear a lot more about bhakti and what we do, why we do, and what's the logic. Where are we going? Or are we only going to do this? Are we only going to offer the dar or light a diya and don't learn anything else? Live like, in a kind of isolated kind of situation. Never study why does Lord Shiva have his hands in different mudra? Why do we do some of the things we do? Could you improve? And if I had to improve, why do I improve? So tonight, as we end this yagya, as we are coming to you, I am asking that you put yourself in Garud's shoes, listen to the question, and absorb the teachings of kakabhsundi. Let's join our hands together at the very onset of our satsang. If you're coming in later, if you've now joined, this is our third night of Uttara Tulsidas Ramayan. We have been discussing, listening to Garud talking to kakabhsundi. And we continue tonight as we conclude our discourse with these two great individuals. Let's ask God's grace as we are about to hear this discourse. Om Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapeta Jambu Palachara Vakshritam Umasutam Sho Kavinashkarakam Namami Viganeshwara Parapankajam Sarvamangalamangaliye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayani Namostute. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namami Shamishan Nirvana Rupam Vibhum Vyapakam Brahma Veda Swarupam Nijam Nirgunam Nirvakalpam Niriham Chirakashamakashavasam Bhajeham Nirakaramunkaramulam Turiyam Giragyana Gotitamisha Girisham Karalam Mahakalakalam Kripalam Gunagar Sansar Param Natoham. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Umapati Mahadeva ki Jai. Tonight, the Rudra Ashtakam, those two verses I did, tonight we'll hear where that comes from. As we enter into our text, we are going to go with Doha 93 A and B. Before we do so, let's chant a little bhajan. I grew up hearing this bhajan, but I don't know if you know what it means. Le lo Ram, mujhe apni sharan mein le lo Ram, lochan man mein jaghe na ho to jugal charan mein le lo Ram, mujhe apni sharan mein ले लो राम, मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम. Listen to the meaning. Has a little bearing to our katha. Sometimes when people sang these songs, they didn't understand the correlation between the song and the Ramayan katha. Sri Ram, grant me refuge. Where refuge? Safe passage, safety. At your feet. If not in the eyes for me to see you, if not in my heart to feel you or to think about you, but grant me shelter at your feet. That what we just sang is saying that charan. Always remember, charan amrit, charano is foot. Foot, all that is talking about is foot. जीवन दे के झाला बिछाया, रच के माया नाचन छाया, चिंता मेरी तभी मिटेगी, चिंता मेरी तभी मिटेगी, जब चरणों में ले लो राम, मुझे अपनी शरण में ले लो राम. You trapped me by giving me life. You put me, by your will, put me in the body. You confuse me by using your divine Maya. We spoke about Maya a lot last night. This divine form, force, let's say use the word force. Usually the female that is under the control of Sri Ram or Lord Vishnu, he sends her forth to confuse everybody, and the soul becomes bewildered in this life. For example, when we were talking about I passed the exam, I am a man, I am a woman, but the soul doesn't have a gender. The soul does not have a species. So I became confused by your Maya. I can stop worrying only when I take shelter at your feet. You save millions of sinners, and yet backed out in mine. I backed out. I withdrew. I pulled myself away from you. Though I possess no wealth or any amount of virtue, please, looking at this sinner, please allow me to shelter at your feet. I wander from pillar to post, but where do I look if I cannot meet with you in this birth? Please, Sri Ram, provide me with shelter. Please allow me to find you and find shelter. Your feet, Padma Sevanam, find your feet so that I could stop. When the pillar to post part, it's indicative. Imagine somebody going here and going there and going here and going there. Imagine, and you will hear about it tonight. Imagine I'm born, die, born, die, born, die. One day bird, one day dog, one day bear, lion, tiger. And I'm looking for you, Prabhu, and I'm trying to find you. But without your blessing, I cannot see you. Petya Murti person. I cannot find your divine form. But it is only at your feet I could get freedom from this confusing existence. Mujhe apni, you see how nice these songs, the meaning, and so much poetic imagery is contained there in these different nights we've been discussing these bhajan. And I hope that all those, I mean, trust me, I am no singer. But for the people that, they with grace and eloquence belt out these songs, I hope that in the delivery of the songs, you understand the value of the words that you are giving to the devotee that is listening. To these people that have come to hear you sing, just as you're sitting in the company of Anup Jalutan, the voice, the emotion, the vibration helps carry the person into their devotion. Further, puts them, as we say in English, puts them in the mood. Please remember your role, and God bless you for having that gift, but live it too. Know the meaning of what you are singing, what you are preaching. And this applies not only to the pundit, but to the singer, to the drummer, everybody that goes to help the devotee in their prayer. Prem se bolo Siyapati Ramachandra ki jai. Tonight we enter where Garud, imagine Garud again and again, he's bowed. Last night when we closed off, he's bowing his head constantly at the feet of kakabhsundi. And he says, not knowing who Ram was, a mistake on my part. Without a spiritual guide, no person will ever find him. Without knowing the ins and out of devotion, without knowing the ins and out of how to overcome ignorance or not knowing, I would have continued, although highly placed, I would have continued to be lost and would have missed this opportunity to know him. Instead, by his grace and mercy, Lord of the Raghu dynasty, the delight of his devotees, has saved me by sending me the charmer. If I was the Lord of the serpent wrap around me and tie me up. How much Lord, how much king am I? If he didn't send the charmer like you to play the flute, to pull the snakes of confusion and delusion off my body, giving me the vision. Imagine it come like kakabhsundi, takes off the blindfold of Garud's eyes, allowing him to see Prabhu Sri Ram. He found him. And he says, because I found this love and the confusion that I had ceased, the love that I now have for the Lord, for his feet, that has given to me the devotion that you're talking about. I want to hear. I want to see him. I believe in him. Prior to this, I did not believe. After eulogizing kakabhsundi in many ways, bowing his head again and again, he put his two hands and lie down flat, stretched out his body in front of him in a very polite way. Guruji, forgive my ignorance. My master, I have a question. Knowing me to be your servant, your sevak, with compassion, please pay attention to the tone. You are the knower of the truth, and having reached beyond the darkness of ignorance, you are intelligent, you are amiable, you are straight in your dealings, storehouse of wisdom. I have a couple of questions about you. Above all, you are a beloved servant of Prabhu Sri Ram. But how is it that you have gotten a form of a crow? Dear Father, please explain clearly to me, my master, where did you get the knowledge of the Manas lake of Sri Ram, Ramcharitamanas, the knowledge or the katha, the ins and out? You have expounded so well. And you have said that you knew the story and you wanted to be in time when Sri Ram was coming from yug after yug. Whenever this time is coming for Sri Ram to take form, you would be in time. You never missed it. Oh great bird, my Lord, I have heard it from Shiv Baba himself that you do not perish. That when Mahapralay, what is Mahapralay? Mahapralay is even when Brahma, Lord Vishnu, after 100 years of Brahma days, Brahma's lifespan, everything, all creation, physical, animate, inanimate matter is pulled back into the body of Mahavishnu. Nothing exists, no planet, no astrological system, no universe, nothing exists. Not even the devatas, not even the elements, none of these things exist, but you exist. And I believe Mahadev Baba would not utter idle words. Therefore my mind is only intrigued, Guruji. How is it that the whole universe, animate, inanimate beings, the Nagas, human beings, the Devatas, all of them have an end point. All of them have to meet with death, let's say Yamraj. But and this is the fourth question that he's asking, the time, the spirit of time, movement, young, becoming old, die, etc. How is it that that time which destroys countless universe, that which destroys planets, suns, stars, all these things, how is it that time, and we enter into the 94th A and B Doha, Doha 94 of Uttara, how is it that time has no power over you? Mahadev Baba says that you are in control, you have mastered this. Tell me, my gracious Lord, if it is a glory of spiritual insight because of yoga, Prabhu, my delusion about Sri Ram disappeared listening to you here in your hermitage. Tell me in a loving spirit, how did all of these things happen to you? Tell me about your journey. For those of you looking on, have you ever sat with your pundit or somebody who may be a teacher and inspired you? The person, I remember years ago I used to sit with Pandit Rajan in El Dorado Shiv Mandir and do Hindi class. Until today, we have this relationship, and I will always say, like a student sitting at Guruji's feet. I will call him up on the phone. During COVID, he used to do online, Ramayana, Hindi, different classes. Through online, Zoom, and people from all over the world, we had these classes running. And I maintain that relationship till today. And he is somebody, from my own experience, and other pundits alike, but this was somebody, like a walking encyclopedia. Not only puja, there were pundits that taught me prayers. And, if you have Mangal Dosh and Kalsarab Dosh, how to fix it with prayer. But when it comes now for text, or the language, or phonetics, or if I have a question in whatever I'm reading, till today I'll pick up the phone and I'll call him. And in the talk goes so good that first step I have to hush. You ever had that moment? And that's my point of saying that. You ever sat with somebody and you didn't want to say anything? It has happened sometimes. I talking about this, and Guruji, as I call him, Guruji just end up about this. Totally in a different topic. We started about apple and the talk went and it ended up in grapes. But I don't mind. Inside of you, it's not that, oh, you're talking too long and you're getting fed up, truthfully. If you know what I'm talking about, think about how you just feel. For me, personally, it is a humbling experience because you just always get left with a feeling, it has so much I don't know. It has so much to learn. When I go learn these things, but I enjoying it because me vexed for the man, me jealous the man, I'm grateful for the man. I am happy he takes the time to answer and talk and discuss. And he, on the other hand, is always telling me from his Guruji, he is giving information, sharing information to all his students, local and abroad. And he says that the information is not his. Just as today I am reading this for you, this is not my work. I am reciting another person's work, or that which came from the lips of Mahadev. I am just a vessel that is transmitted and helping with some examples so that you could grasp it. So there is no issue, there is no loss. But if the person starts to think that if I tell you the secret, in this case, of Ramayana, or the story between Garuda and kakabhsundi, and I have to be like the closet holding all the secrets, then you're missing it. I, the teacher, then is missing it. So he's always willing to give. Of course, you have to be careful. Not everybody is ready for information because there are different depths. So depending on where you reach, and I guess that is all teachers. My mother didn't trust me when I was 5 years old by the stove. But when we became a little more mature, a little more, stable, appearance, you know what I mean, stable, to go buy a stove or to light the stove, use a tower, whatever it be, then you trust the person with that knowledge and to conduct yourself in that type of act. We do it when we do Guru Diksha as a result of that ceremony. You know what? I think you're capable of doing puja on your own, saying Guru Mantra for protection, get through to your prayers, You know, so my point is that when the person sits now and you want to hear, what did you do in school? What was your part? What made you become this way? What was your thinking when you was young? You know, we involved, the ashram is involved with mentorship programs, secular stuff, in different trouble schools in Trinidad. So through teachers, because they have to do the necessary paperwork, I might introduce somebody to somebody, if you understand. My aim is to help, children we can't, it's gone are the days of corporal punishment. So we want to coax them to get them to be, better. But why? Why must I be better? So, for example, I might do prayers for someone in the police service or in family court or in the army or whatsoever. And through that networking now, get them to go to the children and say, listen, there are jobs here, they pay well, they have these benefits, but you cannot have a charge against your name. You have to get these subjects. And in that roundabout way, inspire them to, to follow in the footsteps of the person with the insurance, the doctor, the businessman, the event planner, the decorator, so many different things to encourage entrepreneurship in them. And to be honest with you, I try to go by the trouble schools, those downtrodden schools, not the prestige schools. They have support. But to those children that don't have that kind of, to give them that type of inspiration. You could do it. You're not the worst child in the world. And you come across children that want, they're thirsty for it, It's just not there. And sometimes you sit, I'm not involved, because I'm not a staff member or anything like that. I work through other people. The idea is get each other the help. And if you would like to be part of it, please send me a message. I'm always looking for anybody that is willing to give the time to just talk to children. And, ministry will vet everybody, of course. Nothing to do with myself. It's just I share phone numbers and I introduce people that could help other people help children. Nonetheless, my point is, sometimes children in their innocence. So what made you choose to become a mechanical engineer? Did you always want to be a nurse? Is it hard to become a lawyer? Is it hard to become a farmer? Was it scary during the pandemic and to be a small business owner? How do you do it? Do you go to your church, masjid or temple as a professional? Do you do that? Do you pray? Children will ask you the world. But if we throw them away, if we neglect them, and it's only about us, and you see this, in these times, we forget our struggles and our road we cut and cross. We get the education, we get the job, we get the money, and we never make time to give back your time. I'm not talking about money now. Understand that, eh? I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about your time to give back. Not even in puja. Don't feel pundit only advocating, come to the prayers, come to the satsang. That may not be your thing. But charity could be, we go to, government school, board school, it makes no difference. But we lend our words, our experience, and you get that message of inspiration across. In that regard, you become kakabhsundi, guiding Guru. Good, inherent, you have good. But sometimes you need the guidance of that Guru. In my life, this Pandit Rajan was that person, but there were others. Dr. Dr. Adis Ramsubag from UWI. My first day I was lost. And he in those days was in charge of microbiology. From then to now he has elevated the ranks. And I remember this quiet man from Barapur, now I read in JAG, he might show up in the JAG and so on, sat down with me and he said, this is what this degree is, this is what zoology is, this is what botany is, this is what microbe, biochemistry, things in his field, things outside. And for about an hour, which was not done in those days, you know, to have patience and sit with all these children one by one. And he guided, and I always remember him, and no matter where I see him, Sir Sitaram. That man made a difference in my life. When you think about the people that make a difference in your life, how do you think about them? Are you grateful for them? When you offer in tarpan, should they die, do you remember them? When the Baba is saying for those people that you have respect or regard for, may not be in your family, do you call their names and say, dear God, may trip them down? Do you, God bless the soul? At a minimum. For example, Garud is in such a moment and he's asked, how, your story, please tell me. Mahadev Baba says, Devi, the crow, kakabhsundi, rejoiced to hear the question, smiled at Garud's words, and replied with a lot of affection. Blessed indeed is your intellect, O friend, O son, O student. You're on the right path now. O enemy of serpents, your question is very pleasing. On hearing your loving and agreeable, you did not reject. You'll hear why he's saying this. You did, you know, sometimes you teach somebody something. I remember once in the earlys, going Hindi class in different places. I don't know if you ever had this experience for the senior people here. You want to teach somebody something. You want to give them the information. Maybe they ask you a question, so you go to teach them it. But then, in turn, they want to teach you. So I am remembering learning how conversational Hindi, pasand and chahiye, and in that particular lesson, you know, I said, you know, I don't know this, you know, forgive me. And Guruji says, that is the best way to be right now. Right now you are a blank slate and you will absorb and you will take and you will learn the correct way. But it is quite often that sometimes you want to teach somebody something, but in turn they end up wanting to tell the teacher, oh, well, I know it's so. It happens in school. You see it. My miss did it this way. In lessons, we learn it this way. In tutoring, we learn it this way. And they speak with an attitude to the teacher. They speak back to the teacher. They reject the teacher. And then they reject the lesson. So when he says, on hearing your loving and agreeable question, I am reminded of my previous birth. I shall tell you, I will narrate my whole story at full length. O Garud, listen to it attentive and learn from it. The muttering of prayers, austerities, penance, performing of yagya, subjugation of the mind, subjugating the senses, undertaking sacred vows, vrat, charity, dispassion, right judgment, practicing the different types of yoga, becoming God realized. The fruit of all of these things, the fruit of all these different things that you and I might know about, practice, etc., is devotion to the feet of God, Prabhu Shri Ram. Sometimes when we say we are doing puja, people tend to think that in itself is devotion. And truly, it is not true devotion. Understand what I'm saying here before we go forward. I could put tikka, I could put sindoor, I could put saffron, but I put it in a dokye attitude. I'm not really focused, and I definitely don't believe that in the example of puja where I'm putting the chandan perfume, a simple example, I believe that God is there, and I treat it with that respect or love. Some people do, some people don't. But when everything I'm doing could become some form of or some method to please my God, to worship my God. I'm giving charity today. I feed the dog tomorrow. I give a thirsty person water. And I did not practice any type of racial bias, gender bias, whatever. I just wanted to do something nice. Then you will grow in learning to love the feet. The same thing the Bhajan was telling me just now. His protection. He allows you, he gives you the ability to harness the love within your heart. And what is that devotion of that feet supposed to do? It is only then a person attains lasting peace, happiness, joy. Other than that, sometimes you get happy, you feel calm, you're elevated, you're peaceful, and then something steals your peace. Then you're going again, you're trying, you're listening to a bhajan maybe, you're listening to the song, and then somebody come and talk to you. And you're always up and down. And if you look at your day-to-day life, we go through, hills and hollows, hills and valleys throughout our day. Maybe you get to eat the food, then you have to go back to the office. Maybe you get to see a child face coming into the car from school, but then they start to squeal and carry on, fight in the car, fight in the house, homework, all these different things. 1 minute you're happy, next minute you're not. But now, here's a method to get lasting peace. It was in this body, O Guru, the body of the crow, I was blessed with the devotion of Sri Ram. And hence this body has become very dear to me. Everyone naturally loves that which has caused the person to attain what it is they wanted. It sounds strange, but listen. This is endorsed by the Ved. The saints endorse it too. That love should be shown to the meanest creature. If we come to know that creature is doing or helping us, becoming friendly with that creature is possible. Imagine, everybody likes silk. We're in the 95th Doha, Uttara. Everybody likes silk. And silk is produced by a worm. This is truth. The worm processes material and creates the strands, the thread that is used to weave the silk. It is produced by a worm from which we get beautiful silken textiles. That is why everyone tends to this worm like if this is one own's life, although it be something that is impure, a lesser creature. Because of the work, because of the Seva, this lesser life form is doing, because we benefit from it. We treasure this, and people do that. Just like how we know we keep bees to get the honey. We people who, in different parts of the world that you harvest the fabric, I'm saying fabric, but it's more to make thread. I forget the word for it, forgive me. They mine and maintain, they treasure these worms. The real self-interest of every living creature lies in cultivating devotion to Sri Ram's feet in thought, word, and deed. That body is sacred, and that alone blessed, in which one is able to worship that God, Sri Ram. The wise and learned never exalt him who is hostile to Ram. Even though he may acquire a body as exalted as Brahma without devotion, he is not acceptable. Devotion to Sri Ram takes root in a person's heart, in this very body. Hence I hold it very dear to me, my dear Garud. Although, as he continues, although my death depends on my own will, I refuse to quit this body. Because, as the Vedas declare, adoration to the Lord is not possible without the physical frame. At first, infatuation gave me a lot of trouble. I was not able. In the earlies, I was not able. So long as I remained hostile to Prabhu Sri Ram, I was never even able to get restful sleep. But through a number of births, I practiced different forms of yoga, controlling my mind, doing japa, whispering the prayers, the mantras like what you and I do. austerities, penance, charity performed, yagya performed, other acts, various kinds. Which species is there in this world, O winged creature, in which I have not had some time been born during all these janam, all these different births? This wheel of births was never ended. I have experienced all kinds of pursuits, but I was never happy as I am happy now. I recollect many previous experiences, my Lord, and it is Lord Shiva's grace. My understanding was never clouded by infatuation. Remember just now in the bhajan we hear about he clouds the Jeev, he confuses, he covers their eyelids as it were with his Maya. And we spoke at length about that last night. Garud was blinded by the Maya and he gets confused, he doesn't know reality. And the person now, when they are blinded by it, they become so engrossed in having a family, working for money, getting famous, and in those realms of the world, that is their whole focus. There is nothing else. There are people who will have family, they will do their diligence in their job, maybe get an award or run a marathon, get a medal, but have their job or their business, but they're God-centric. They're focused. God, thank you for this today. Thank you for this. It is in your name. We will win the Academy Award. Such people, the first thing they thank is God. It is by your grace. So, in this way, I, on the other hand, O Garud, by Lord Shiva's grace, I was not clouded by Maya. Instead of saying infatuation, let me use the word Maya. This illusionary force that makes a person become deluded or delusion, like what happened to Garud. So, we are in the 96th Doha. Listen, O Garud, I now proceed to narrate the story of my first birth. As far as I could remember, this is my first birth, which is sure to engender in the heart of the listener love for the Lord's feet. All we are talking about is the feet of Sri Ram, like in our bhajan, which is the remedy for all afflictions. In a former kalp, a kalp is Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Kalyug. That's one kalp. In a previous kalp, the world was passing through at that time Kalyug, a hotbed of sin in which men and women were all steeped in unrighteousness and acted contrary to the Veda. In that Kalyug, I was born in the city of Ayodhya and got the body of a laborer, in fact an artisan. I was a devotee of Lord Shiva in thought, word and deed. I was a reveler of all the other gods. Whenever there was a celebration, I felt proud, conceited that I went into the tirat of the chariot when it is being pulled for Surya. I am a devotee of Devi. I am a devotee of Lord Shiva. With pride, I can't hit my chest, but with pride, I lived like this, intoxicated with pride, in fact, of the self, of what he had done. This is a person who worships Lord Shiva. We're not talking about somebody who don't believe in God. This is somebody who believes in God, goes in the yatra, goes in the temple, goes in the moments. Please follow, because this could be me or you. I was savage in all my pursuits and carried an enormous load of hypocrisy in my heart. Even though I dwelt in the capital of Sri Ram, the Lord of the Raghu, I failed to know even an iota of the glory of living in Ayodhya. Now I have come to know the greatness of Ayodhya, that it is being sung in Ved, Tantras, the Puranas, that whoever, and this is why, you see that mandir they opened in Ayodhya, you've seen, and there are people in the western diaspora of the Hindus from all on the east coast, people from all over, journeyed to India, but they wanted to stay in Ayodhya. The hotel capacity of Ayodhya to get the visa for this last meeting here was horrendous. But for those that had the ability to go, or God bless you, you are now able to visit Ayodhya to see this mandir. Whoever has resided in Ayodhya in any birth whatsoever surely becomes a devotee of Sri Ram. A person just by going there comes to know the glory of Ayodhya only when Sri Ram, bow in hand, takes up his abode in your heart. You get the darshan of Prabhu coming home. And when he comes home now, the transformation within you starts. If every action has an equal and opposite reaction, when I make the yatra, when I walk, when I fly, when I get to Ayodhya by touching the ground, just as we understand Varanasi, just as we understand Gaya, just as we understand all these great points, Ayodhya being no different. I'm reading chapter 4 after Doha 96. That particular age, that particular time, understand that he's talking about multiple Kali Yuga. This is the first time he's experiencing Kali Yuga. The particular age of Kali Yuga was truly terrible. Every man and woman at that time was given over to sin. Understand that he's now going from Doha 97, he's going to discuss Kali Yuga a little bit. I will touch on some, not everything. Every virtue had now become engulfed by the power, by the essence of Kali Yuga. All good books had disappeared. Imposters had become very popular. A number of creeds had disappeared, which they invented out of their own mind. So people develop different following like cult because of what not religious texts preach, but what I feel. Now this is something that is happening right now. Locally, the argument in one example, it is not the only one example, should I put suji powder in parsad or not? Another one. Oh, we had recently, the big debate started up again about the role of women in, how you call it? Funeral rites, antishti sanskar, lifting the box, offering the pinda, so on and so forth. I read the discourse. I think I added to the, I put fuel in the fire when Sita Mata offers pinda for Dashrath. But people will postulate, choose a position based on their opinion rather than the guidance by God. People will become prey to delusion, and all pious acts will be swallowed up by greed. O Mount of Lord Vishnu, here let me describe more of this Kali Yuga for you, how bad it was. People did not respect the ashrams or their duty. In fact, what should have been the sannyasi is acting as if he is the brahmachari. He wants to give up duty and don't study family, etc. Everybody takes delight in revolting against the Ved. The politicians, the kings bleed their subjects. No one respects injuncture of the Ved. The right course for every individual is that which it takes, which the person choose or feel they should do. And what they don't feel to do, don't do that. Whoever launches any undertaking is given over to hypocrisy. Say one thing, do something else. He alone is clever in those days who robs another of his wealth. He who puts on false appearance, he becomes great. He gains ardent followers, established usage. Now in this, it have a lot of things that are happening today. There are two schools of thought, as I'm sure everybody know. There are some people that says there are different definitions of Brahman. Brahman is discussed a lot in this. Brahman from the genetic side, I'm born in that family, is one way. And then Brahman from you see it in of different places. Mahabharat, when Yudhishthir is replying to the Yaksh, what is a Brahman? And he says a Brahman is somebody based on their actions, their activities. In some of the Brahmin names, you come across that. Dubey is the person who has attained based on their ability to learn to Ved. Chaubey, the person who has attained the knowledge of four Ved. Sastri, the person becomes knowledgeable of the Sastras. Gosine, Goswami, the person who is the keeper of the Vedic knowledge, or the knowledge, keeper of the cow, protector of the cow, etc. The names are applicable just like how Indra. Sometimes when people are reading, we hear Indra, but Indra is a title. If I say Prime Minister, Minister of Work, Secretary of Foreign Affairs, you understand that's a job title that is filled by a person periodically. In the same way, the Indra could be changed from one cult to another cult. A person is elevated to that status. In each case, you will come across some people that postulate that I believe in this definition. There will be people that I believe in this definition. He's saying here, there will be people who will gain followers by false prophecy, false appearance, and they gain, like to say, get people, children to follow them. And where's the problem in that? In simple language, if you believe in a family, then you would have the family name. But what is to be said for the situation where the person changes their identity? Maybe I change my name, change how I look. You don't know who I am, but I am this way. This is who I am. And then present yourself in that way. He alone who is abandoned, who has abandoned the path of truth, this person is known in Kali. This person may be the type of person to grow their nails, long matted locks, and because of their hair alone is renowned as an ascetic, but not necessarily their knowledge or their ability to do sadhana. In this time, people eat anything, eat everything, no matter or what is wrong or is appropriate or not, and still they are going to be called an ascetic. People put different weight for people that may not be able to help them. In fact, people in the weight of the guru, once you have the janu on your chest, once you have the string, on your chest, that's a guru, that's a Brahman for many people. In fact, in this time, you will see a lot of people running down other people's spouse. It says here, wife, after Doha 99. Clever, steeped in delusion, malicious. These people are looked at as smart people. Who is a good Brahman? Who is a good Pandit? When you can instruct the twice born in spiritual wisdom, what is to be done, what is not to be done in religious occasion. When the Pandit takes if you tell me to put the murti from this way to this way, okay, no problem, then I'm a good Pandit to put it in our language. When the person is able to accept shortcuts, then that person, that's my guru. That's the person who is saintly. In this time, abandonment in marriage, abandonment with children will be rampant as it was in those times. Women in marriage will not want to show signs of marriage. So there will be a aversion, whether we say sindoor, wedding ring, nose ring, toe ring, whatever our belief as Hindus are, it will always be something that we have to remind, talk about. People would not want to wait. However, if a person becomes a widow they want to adorn themselves as if they are a bride. So it is a kind of back to front practice. The disciple wants to lecture to the preceptor, and in fact, this disciple preceptor disciple guru relationship will become as if and resemble as if a deaf man, meaning the disciple, is liming with a blind man. So the blind one cannot teach because he doesn't know, he cannot see, he cannot envisage, he cannot see the future to forecast. Listen, you're going down the wrong road. In the future, you'll sorry, as a parent might for children. And the disciple now, imagine you say child and parent is the same thing when you say to me matter. The child now, who is deaf, doesn't listen to the advice of the parent, the guru, in whichever form the guru is. People will not want to listen to good advice. In this time, spiritual guide is robbed. So long as money is the barter system only and not blessing, then the guidance is washed down and ill-gotten, halfway gotten, sometimes not gotten. And for this, you will see a degradation in dharmic practices as well as society on the whole, as nobody will do their duty. Nobody will do what is appropriate. In fact, in this time, and I'm reading Chopai 4 after Doha 98, parents call their children and teach them some little religion so that it would fill their belly. And what that means is, teach children not so much about the spiritual growth, but do the prayers, you pass the exam. Do the prayers you could get. You want something, do the prayers. Say the prayers, say the mantra, go Shivratri for that. So it is a quite common thing when many, and I mean, look at the circumstance around you. When you pass all the student age and you become an adult, it is as if from some, why am I doing Saraswati Puja, for example, just to build the point. For example, I don't have exams. I've been faced with that question before. When the student in this time argues with the guru, disrespects the guru, as if we are inferior to you, speaking in this way hurts the person that is trying to teach them. How will there be betterment? When the guru is supposed to be the person to give you the drishti, to see, whether it's the school teacher, remember that's a guru too, spiritual teacher or parent. In this age, the three of us have to hush. Then we're good. Once the school teacher lay do what you want, he or she is very good. But then have to answer why you're not performing. The guru has to answer why you're not performing, the pundit. The parent has to answer why the child is not performing. Why is your child this way? Why is your child acting out? Why is your child? Everybody's accountable except for that child. But one day, that type of thinking and behavior comes to bear. Such is the practice in Kali Yuga. When I was there at that time, it was as if everybody doomed themselves. Such people would ruin their own opportunity because of the never taking, never interested, never seeing the sense in the part of righteousness or the part of virtuous activity. They fell from one birth to a lower grade, to a lower existence, like that. And in this, suffering just was on the rise. There are many more examples of how people would live. Overcome by delusion, people claim they walk the path of devotion, but in truth, there's a lot of hypocrisy, there's a lot of untruth, and there's a lot of false truth in their activity, a lot of pride too. in that I can sing the bhajan, I can do the fast. But is it really resonating to spiritual growth or betterment? That is left to be said. He says, "Oh Garud, in this age of Kali Yuga, there are so many freakish things that happen that it is a scary sight for virtuous people trying to live a good life. In this time, it is as if people were making the craziest decision. And, for example, sons will respect father and mother so long they have not seen the face of their wife. From the time they take a fancy to their wife, kinfolk, family, they begin to look at their own people as enemies, as their enemies. The kings, the politicians become addicted to sin, and they do any and everything without any level of sympathy or piousness. They will persecute their own people rather than try to help or to make them better. In Kali Yuga, famine, frequent weather pattern change, trouble. People would go hungry, food grain would dry up and perish in massive amounts. He says, "O Garud, in this Kali Yuga, hypocrisy, perversity, malice, heresy, pride, infatuation, and many other symbols and symptoms were in great demand, practiced by all. People practice japa, austere penance, charity, perform sacrifice because of unholy motives in this time. People do prayer, but what they're praying for, that is a different story. The devatas allow rain to fall upon the earth, and still the food grain is not, the grains that are sown in the ground still do not germinate. It is as if the land is flustered and fed up of all the bad things that are happening." People pay attention to their bodies, men and women, pamper their bodies, focusing on the physical attributes alone and not the spiritual growth. In this age of Kali Yuga, men become mad and they lose respect in the sanctity that is supposed to be held for one's daughter, one's sister, one's mother. There seems to be perversion even there. Envy, covetous, these things are rampant. And it seems as if the mind, from being a human that has cognitive sense to make decisions in the right way, they're acting like animals. He says, Oh Garud, in this age of Kali Yuga, the storehouse of impurities and vice, there's still good in it. Because in this age, to get mukti, liberation, emancipation from this cycle is very simple compared to previous age. For example, in Satyug, everyone is possessed of mystic powers, wise. Hence, in this age, men cross the ocean, the sansar, by meditating on Sri Hari Vishnu, sitting in the forest, as we've seen sometimes in the movies, for a long expanse of time. In Treta Yuga, men perform sacrifice, yagya, various type of yagya to cross this birth and death cycle. In Dwapar, people cross this existence by adoring the feet of Prabhu. In Kali Yuga, however, people reach the end of this existence, going back to Godhead, by simply singing the praises, recalling, listening to the praises of Sri Hari Vishnu. The only hope is in hymning of Sri Ram's praises, giving up all other aspiration. Whosoever worships Sri Ram fondly chants his praises, his names, his glory, undoubtedly is able to cross the transmigration from here, from the Jivatma form to the Paramatma form. The power of his name is thus manifested. It is most potent in the age of Kali Yuga. No other age can compare to Kali Yuga, O Garud, provided the man in these dark times has faith. For in this age, one can cross the ocean by simply singing the name of Sri Ram. Pious actions have 4 pillars, 4 foot. But in this age, and this is Doha 103, part B, in this age of Kali Yuga, charity practice is the most conducive to one's spiritual greatness, goodness, and improvement. This is why we were talking about charity, whichever form. In this way, the different age has a different propensity of tamasic, sattvic, rajasic, and the percentage of tamasic behavior in Kali Yuga is the highest. The wise discern good character, bad character, regardless to the yuga, and in their mind, the righteous devote themselves to pious activity, whilst the unrighteous devote themselves to any other activity. The characteristic of the time spirit has no effect on he who worships, excessively fond of worshipping the feet of Sri Ram. It could be young, it could be old. I spend my time in that practice. He says the good, the evil, which are all the creation of Sri Hari Vishnu and his elusive potency, the Maya, cannot be eliminated except through the worship of Lord Vishnu. Bearing this in mind, giving up only thinking about desires, one should worship Lord Vishnu. In that particular time, Guru, bearing all this description, I lived in Ayodhya for many years and a great famine started because of this same Kali Yuga. And I had to move, I had to leave that place. And I went to Ujjain. I was miserable, I was downcast, I was penniless, and I was afflicted. And it took some time for me to acquire some savings, some wealth. And I began worshipping Lord Shiva, Shambhu. And there was this Brahman who constantly worshipped Lord Shiva, following all the Vedic rituals, Vedic rites, and he had no other job. His whole time was spent in Shiva worship. He was an extremely pious soul, even in those obscene times. And he knew a lot about Lord Shiva. And in this way, I became close to him. But at that time, I was a great devotee of Shambhu, but no lover of Sri Vishnu. I served Lord Shiva with an open heart. The Brahman was very kind-hearted, and he was the abode of piousness. Seeing me outwardly humble, Garud, the Brahman taught me as if I was his son. This Guru imparted to me mystic formulas to Lord Shiva, different yantra, tantra, mantra, gave me every kind of good advice about life, about the time I had, etc., the choices I made. I used to go to a temple of Lord Shiva and repeat everything I had learned, the mantra, the tantra, etc. All the formulas, and more I learned is more I felt as if I am good, I am great, I am full of pride. With unbound, it has some people shame, they know the prayers, they know the bhajan, but I don't know how to explain that. But then there are some people, when you get into the sur, when you get into the moment and it happening, you're clapping and you're singing as if nobody's watching you, as they say. He's in that kind of moment. He would do his worship as if it doesn't matter what you think, I doing what I come to do. I love the Lord. A wretch, impure of mind, low-born, overcome by pride and self-importance. I was filled with jealousy and all types of envy, and at this very sight of a servant of Lord Vishnu, I used to get upset. I hated Lord Vishnu. And it distressed me to see the conduct of my guru, who would admonish me every day and really, really ticked me off when he said that Lord Shiva, the sole reward my son is worshipping Lord Shiva is to gain devotion to Sri Ram feet. It says when he talked like that, it got me angry. Shiva himself as well, Brahma, their son, adore the feet of Sri Ram. Of what account would you say? For what will you say? What will you say? For a mere human like me and you. Do you hope to attain happiness by harboring ill will to him whose feet is loved by that same Shiva? In other words, stupid boy, same kakabhsundi many years before, stupid boy, don't hate Vishnu. When I heard my guru speak like this about Lord Shiva being a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, my heart was on fire. Vile of descent I was, a little learned, not much learned. I had acquired and turned my head even as a serpent becoming full of poison. When you fill the mouth with the milk, like when they're doing Nag Panchami Puja, and the snake fed up, it taking up, it turned, ready to leave now, proud, perverse, wretched. I meditated in my prayer mischief to my guru. I wished him bad. My guru, however, was too tender-hearted and too gentle to have at least the littlest temper, anger with me. On the other hand, he would give me good advice time and time again. I didn't listen. I wouldn't take it. In my own life, you come across, and I'm using the word children. Let me say grown people as grown people, but children. At different time going to school to help children that, needed help. Feed children, help children. You're seeing them growing to achieve. And it is so prevalent that you are kicked. And I'm saying this to parents, I'm saying this to foster parents, godparents in your own right. Think about what is being said here and what is coming. You do good. People, I wish somebody could help me. I wish somebody could guide me. People pray like that. And then somebody comes. But, like in this example, it is not necessarily what you want to hear. Maybe if you do it this way, it might be better. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe it should be better. In today's world, it is quite common that children, or I'm saying children again, but it's not only children. People working in our office don't want to hear the supervisor guide them. That person bad, and they wish them bad, and they're doing obia, and they're throwing things, and they wish you're dead, and etc. People do it with their parents, much less for strangers. But when people stop teaching and guiding, then you're robbed of that help. In my mind right now, there's this one child that you had so much aspirations, and because of the attitude, because of pride and venom and hatred, rebel against the guidance you're given. And no matter how, in what way you try, maybe it is Kali Yuga that some children are meant to burn and one day hopefully learn. He says, I did this. Listen, brother. He says, just as smoke, Hawan example here now, for those people who do your Hawan, the smoke that comes out the Hawan, it chokes the same fire that is giving it life. What making the smoke. But that same smoke will go up into the atmosphere and gain dignity Everybody happy when the cloud come in, dense with rain. Oh, we so happy. But look at the modus operandi of the same smoke choke the fire. Step 1. The dust that is lying on the ground is filled with contempt, until one day the dust will travel at a distance and land on the chests, on the gems of the king, and then it is of greatness. Maybe the dust will be on the foot of the guru, and when they wash the foot, oh, that dust in the water that they sprinkle, that dust purifies. The same thing later on could attain greatness, but in the beginning it is hurtful. It is damning. People enjoy the company of vile people in this age, and the seers and learned people, they kick them, they may quarrel with them, they hold them as wretched folks, but they will never listen to them or think. One should always remain humble in the eyes of their guru, their parent, or their teacher in school, in order to gain benefit, rather than, as I did, in my heart full of falsehood, full of perversion. And that thinking blocked me. One day I was repeating Shiv Baba name in the temple. I was doing his job, singing his bhajan, etc. And my guru came in. But in my pride, I didn't think it was necessary to stand in greeting, out of respect. Sitaram, nothing. He was too gracious to say anything. He saw it. As a pundit, I'm telling you, we go to prayers, you see people, and you see sometimes parents don't teach children these things. And do you think, as a pundit, me, Keshava, is going to say, hey, I walk in here, you have to stand, you have to say Sitaram, you have to arati me. I remember one day we went to prayers, me and Mommy Baba, and somebody says, well, pundit, you don't tell me to arati your wife. And to me, in my opinion, I don't think I should have to tell you to do that. If you want, here she is, arati. You'll get she blessing. That your godmother organized. But if that is not inherent inside of you, I'm not going to force you to do that. My guru was too gracious to say anything. Neither did he feel in any way resentment in his heart. But the sin was already done, and the disrespect to our guru could not be allowed by Lord Shiva. He could not tolerate it. And the Akash Vani, the real voice, heavenly voice, in the temple started to speak. Oh, you wretched, conceited fool! Even though your preceptor has no anger in him, this tender-hearted person, possessed of truth and perfect wisdom, oh, you fool, I pronounce a curse on you for the disrespect you have shown him. Because of the type of mind you have shown him, because of the thinking you have about him, today I will give you shrap. If I do not punish you, oh you wretch, then all the Vedic law that we believe, dharmic, karmic, etc., would be violated. The fool who bears malice against their guru, including secular teacher, spiritual guru pandit, or the parent, are cast into a special hell for a myriad of yugs. After that, they are born in subhuman forms. Because of action like this, God says, I take out your soul from the human body and I'll put you in this life, that life form, etc. And you remain there for 10,000 successive life. Since you remain rooted to your seat, kakabhsundi, in that time you'd have had a different name, like a snake that doesn't have legs. Oh, you vile wretch, take the form of a snake. For your mind is steeped in sin and condemned to that vile state. You want to be like that? Live like that. O vilest of the vile, go and take your abode in some hollow tree and remain there. Guruji at that time let out a strong squeal when he heard the terrible shrap of Mahadev upon me. I was trembling with fear to hear this voice talk like that and what was being said. I couldn't mutter a word. Reflecting on my awful fate, Guru prostrated himself to Lord Shiva, joined hands in front, lie down flat. Namamisha Mishana Nirvana Rupam Vibhum Vyapakam Brahma Veda Swarupam. The eighth Chaupai after Doha 107, the Rudra Ashtakam. Rudra Ashtakam idam proktam Viprana Hari Shotaye. That prayer is from the Guru of Kakabhsundi. You'll hear more about it for Shivratri. It's coming. He lied down and he started to pray to the different forms of Lord Shiva for the benefit. But for whose benefit? The All-Wise Shiva heard the prayer of the Brahman and he saw his devotion. And the voice says, ask for a boon, O great Brahman. Guruji says, if you are pleased with me, bless me, dear God. You who are affectionate to the meek, bless me with devotion to your feet and grant me another boon. Overcome by your Maya, this stupid child has made an error. But be merciful. Do not be angry with him. Be gracious. By your compassion, this curse that you have pronounced, instead of it being punishment, may it be turned into a blessing. Do what you must to bring him to a supreme state of blessedness. And Ishwar, in that unseen voice, says, so be it. And he continued to speak to me. He says, although you have committed this great sin and my wrath has been pronounced upon you in the form of Ashram, I shall do you a special favor. O Brahman, because of your forgiving disposition, people like you that practice forgiveness will always be dear to me and Sri Ram. Rest assured. My curse shall not go in vain. This fella shall definitely pass through thousands of incarnations, thousands of births, thousands of different life forms. The terrible agony on the birth process and the death process will not affect him. He will not go through that suffering, but he will have to live like that as time is passing. Now, Ishwar turned to who was Kakabhsundi. He says, O Sudra, in none of these births shall your awareness be dulled by Maya. You will remember this moment where he's talking to the form of Mahadev in presence of Guru in the first place. You were born here in Ayodhya and you have set your heart on my worship due to this miraculous city, and by my grace devotion to Sri Ram shall spring up inside your bosom. Listen to my solemn declaration. You should never disrespect a Brahman again. Whenever there's a Guru in your vicinity, respect them properly. Never make this error again, and you will be able to reap the reward that your Guru is asking. I bestow upon you one more blessing. You shall have unobstructed access everywhere. This is how he was able to go to Ayodhya, leave, go see the universe, go see time, go. The Guru rejoiced to hear the words of Lord Shiva. And through that voice, he says, Jai Jai Shambhu. Driven by faith, I went to the Vindhya mountain, and the Jew left my body and I was reborn as a serpent. And after time, I easily dropped that form. Whatever form I assumed, I dropped it and I would take a next form with ease, no suffering of the birth process. Even as a man takes off clothes, change clothes to put on new clothes, the law of the Vedas was vindicated by Shiv's pronouncement. Whilst I was spared the agony of the birth canal, in this way, O winged creature, I assumed various forms, but my cognitive sense, my understanding never left me. Whatever form I assumed, whether it was an irrational being, let's say like a worm, or something that does not have the brain power, whether it be a Devta, something that is a heavenly being, or like how Indra could be replaced by elevated soul, a great soul, a Devta, or a man, I continued to adore Sri Ram in every form. Yet one thing continued to sting my conscience. How calm, mild, and amiable my Guru disposition was in my first birth, as far as I could remember. I could never forget that. The last body I had was that of a Brahman. I had reached here, which the Vedas and Puranas declare it is very hard to get. A human form that is spiritually driven, guided, and grown to understand the value of the pastimes of Sri Ram. In those days, in that form, in that janam, I would join the boys to play like in, children time, playtime. But in my play, I could only enact the pastimes of Sri Ram. As I grew up, my father tried to give me lessons in secular, science, maths, etc. But it did not attract me. I tried my best to do it, but I excelled at those things that attracted my mind, which was the spirituality, the story of Ram. My soul craved for more information, more moments, thoughts, opportunities to meet with the feet of Ram. Imagine there are some children who will relish the opportunity to take part in a yag. And then there are some, I could stay home and play my PlayStation. I could be on my phone. I could be talking with the boyfriend or my friend. Or I could go to the mall. Or I could do this, that, or the other. But the yag does not have that allure. This fella case, he is born with that natural disposition. And we sometimes going home to home, you hear, I would say grandparents, but parents as well. Baba, this child, I don't know. This child is only want to sing and knock the drum. Sing so he could knock the drum. She does only want to hear this particular bhajan when time for she to sleep. It is as if they know about these things from before. When you hear a young child, 5 years old, 6 years old, singing bhajan, singing in temple, Baba, me and all, look how brave, watch how they're on the stage and they're so brave. Miracles, but miracles based on past accrued karma, gifts given to people by only God. He says, in my case, I only wanted the opportunity to hear, see, touch the feet of Sri Ram. He says, is there any person, Garud, is there any person so wretched to give up a cow that is full of milk to go and play, try to milk, try to, get the same milk from a she donkey? Overwhelmed with love, I had no charm left for anything. My father tried to coax me, but when my mother and father both died after that time, I withdrew to the forest in order to worship Sri Ram and his servants, Hanuman Baba, etc. In the forest, whenever I got to meet a great sage, I would visit their hermitage, go on Tirat. And there I bowed my heavy head to each individual. I, not knowing them, I don't know how they think, I don't know their disposition, but I would not disrespect them. Now, I'm saying this to advise somebody who asked me a question earlier today. Just as how it have mechanics that have the ability to work with the carburetor, and then we had new, technology, the car changing, and you have to understand that there are people who are trained in certain models, procedures, lesser, technological savvy mechanic. You don't hate the mechanic, but you understand that, he may not be the mechanic for my vehicle. Likewise, imagine I went, Mr. Staff, to get this particular windshield wiper. Do you hate the windshield wiper when it don't fit on your windscreen? Likewise, for every action, there's a reaction. So there's a way. You choose the doctor you go by. You choose the pundit you use for spiritual guidance. You choose your guru. Your guru, whilst somebody might come and say, Pandit Keshava, would you accept my child as a guru? The first part, before that, you think about it and you choose based on what? Pandit Keshava ability to sing. If you are going to choose this Baba, and I use it myself, don't get me wrong. If you're going to choose this Baba because of my ability to sing, good luck. You know what you're going for. So when you choose the person, you formulate a relationship where you're going to get the divulge of information, the dissertation of information. It is not just I'll get a man to do my work or a man to do the ceremony, and that it is really to build a relationship with the person. I always advise people, before you formulate, through ritual, this relationship, don't take it lightly. There is the mistake. You don't know the person. You do it when you have to choose a pediatrician for your child. You research, you find out what is the, go and listen to the person talk, have a consultation, as they might say. Have a consultation with your pundit. Sit down, and if you don't agree with his views on women affairs or gender affairs, ask a question. And if you can't ask a question, okay, that says a lot. As we become educated, we must be objective in doing our business, because when you choose poorly, and poorly comes from the space that it may not be a match for your circumstance or your situation. So let me just use an example, just to be clear in case somebody are following me. Suppose I want to do blood sacrifice as a person, but you choose a pundit like myself, and okay, no problem, because all you're asking me to do is do Guru Diksha. Would you be able to teach my child? Right now, I am teaching many godchildren through this medium. I am giving a satsang, I am giving a lecture, I am giving a pravachan, and this is for everybody. This is free. Godchildren, no godchildren alike. So I'm doing my side of that deal. But then I want you to chop the animal's neck. And in this example, just an example, a hypothetical, not truthful situation, I've never been in this. Somebody said, Pandit, we have an animal and we need you to officiate in the slaughter of this animal. And me would say, maybe with a smile on my face, you're mad or what? I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. I don't believe in that. And imagine how the person who is practicing that form of worship, because that is also a form of worship for many people, how angry they might get with me. Oh, this stupid pundit. Let me be real tonight. Tonight we have to be honest, and we cannot be, hypocritical and fool yourself. Everybody has limitations. Certain things might be drawn to that Baba in the form of singing, in the form of reading, in the form of explaining to children or to elders. Everybody has a strength. But without much thought, sometimes we choose. And then we have to live with the choice that you make. But now we're in a position where a ritual has to be performed. A yagya, how you do the yagya, the funeral, how you do the funeral, the shrad, the wedding, whatever. And because now you are learning, you're already in the scenario, you are now learning about the person. And it is not to your liking, not the text, not the rules, your liking. You have a problem. Remember, when you still ill speak, that individual who is practicing Gayatri is trying to guide you, just like in this example, that sin will walk with you because of what you have done. If I, and I'm using myself again, if I neglect to do my remit in terms of teaching you, educating you. Remember, all the word guru gu means spiritual darkness, ignorance. I take the diya and I out the diya. Darkness. Ru means the person who brings the light of knowledge. A teacher, truthfully, teacher. Purohit is something else. If I neglect to do my teaching, then I will have to account for that. But my advice to everybody looking on, bear this part in mind. When you are selecting for your children to formulate a relationship with a teacher, with a pediatrician, with a mechanic, with a school, just as how for some we do proper research and we wanted to get the good school district, the rating of the doctor. In today's world, we read in the comments, the reviews online, how many stars, etc. All these different things. Do it with your spiritual guide and formulate that relationship that you know what you're getting into. So there's a less likelihood that you will fall in this trap. He says, I recall that and I regret that. These mistakes that I made, these mistakes I made with my guru. The three types of ardent seeking in this life. Those seeking for children, progeny, wealth and fame. Endeavoring, doing everything I do, Baba, I do it for the children. That is the purpose of my life. Purpose of your life, whilst having children, whilst training children, whilst cooking food, whilst treating them, training them, is to be God guided as you attain God. Because one day those children grow up and they might, move on. Fame and wealth. Wealth, by any means, sometimes is be leading to stealing. Fame, you could become famous for the wrong reason if you are not God guided. He says, all these things left me. And by Shambhu's grace, I was able to rise above, only focusing on these three things. The want of family, the want of wealth, the want of fame. And anywhere I went, I would only listen as the guru is talking, as the person in that particular ashram, in that moment was talking. I would relish in getting to hear the katha. I've listened to it so many times by this point. I have heard it time and time again, and I never lost the initial energy, the initial joy to hear my Prabhu. The object of this life, he tells himself at one point, is when I could behold Sri Ram's feet myself. Every sage I interrogated, I asked about God, and they would say God represents the totality of all created, animate, inanimate. But for me, when they are talking and they're saying God is this impersonal, this big invisible mass of energy, I didn't like that. For me, I held it in my heart that Sri Ram is God. Sri Ram, there's a difference between Nirgun and Sagun. The Nirgun is the invisible form, without features, without male, female. Sagun is Ram, Krishna, Shiva, etc. He goes on, as we are in Doha 110, A to D. Even as I recall the words of my preceptor in my mind, remembering how many janam, how many births pass from animal, from amphibian, come up to mammal, come up, you name it. Now he's in human form, and he's remembering way at the beginning. Listening to the words, remembering the words of my then guru, I maintain this concept of the fondness for the feet of Ram. And I went about singing the praise of Ram. By now I had learned Ramayan Chaupai and Doha, the Katha, the Manas, the lake of the name, of the love, of the form, of the glory of Sri Ram. With love I sang it anywhere I went. And I gathered new strength every time. On the mount peak of Mount Meru, in the shade of a banyan tree, at one point I came across Lomas Rishi. In different texts, Lomas Rishi is the person it is believed to have guided Jesus in some of the teachings that is connected here. Last night in our discourse, we talked about the value of love, and it's true love, devotion for Sri Ram is allowed to foster. And when you listen to the teachings of Paul in the Bible and other places where the teaching of love or the value of love for God's creation is given, it is very similar in some instances to Sanatana's value systems. This same Lomas Rishi is sitting there, and when he realized somebody's around him, Garud, he spoke very politely to me. He says, "For what purpose have you come here, O Brahman?" He says, "Guruji, fountain of mercy, omniscient person, tell me, blessed one, what worship, what method, what procedure can I follow so that I may be able with reverence to see Sri Ram?" Guruji starts to talk, and he started to tell him about his focus is doing devotion to the Brahman, the unseen, invisible, without human form, animal form, male, female, none of these things, but just the energy that constitute everything. And in this way, the Muni started to give him sermon, and about the strength of this Brahman. The sage instructed me in various ways, but the truth that the individual soul is identical to the Brahman or the Paramatma did not appeal to me. Instead, whilst I was still bowing to his feet, kindly tell me about the worship method for the embodied or the form, Ram, Krishna, etc. The embodied with features. That is what I want to know, Guruji. My mind takes delight in the worship of Sri Ram, just as how a fish rejoices when it is in contact with water. How then can it exist without the water? O great sage, be gracious and teach to me the method whereby I would be able to behold the Lord of the Raghu with my own eyes. Having feasted my eyes on the king of Ayodhya, I will then listen to your discourse about the Brahman, the attributeless form of this energy. The sage once more recited the story of Sri Hari Vishnu, but demolishing the doctrine that the Supreme Spirit does appear as an embodied spirit. This is not what kakabhsundi believes in. He established that he is truly without attributes, without finger, hand, male, female, none of these things. Therefore, I would set aside the view that God is ever attributeless and establish with great obstinity that his doctrine is hard for him to understand, that big form could take a little form. When I thus entered into hot discussion with him, signs of resentment appeared on Lomas Rishi. Listen. Insolence carried to an excessive amount of passion would raise temper in the chest of the most enlightened soul. Too much friction would produce fire where there isn't even sandalwood. Again and again, in the heat of passion, the sage tried to give me spiritual wisdom, tried to explain to me, and still I resisted. And I asked various questions to show the resistance. Can there be anger without duality? Can there be duality without ignorance? Can an individual soul as dull and finite as it is, subject to Maya, ever be on the same level of the Paramatma of God? Can suffering ensue when solitude from others happen? Can anyone possessing the philosopher's stone suffer from want when they have this power within them? Many other questions. He goes on to ask him constantly, and opposing views were raised. He says, "Oh brother Garud, is there any loss in this world as grievous as the man who fails to adore Sri Ram after obtaining the human body? Is there any other sin as bad as that?" In this way, I mentally advanced numerous in his mind. In company, he talked more in his mind. He did not listen to the sage's teachings. And again, I maintained the cause of the second form of worship. Till at last, the sage couldn't take it no more. He says, "Oh fool! You refuse to accept the supreme lesson I've been trying to inculcate onto you, indulging in endless and frivolous arguments, counter-arguments. You give no credence to the authentic words that I am giving. You are like a crow." But yeah, kind of voice. You look on everything with distrust. The crow is that as you come closer, it doesn't allow you to pet him, touch him. He's moving back, he's moving back. He's ready to fly, he's ready to run. Fool! You are exceedingly self-opinionated. Therefore, you shall at once take the form of a crow. In that moment, I bowed. I'm in Chaupai 8. Doha 111. I bowed to the curse pronounced by that Muni, Lomas Rishi, but felt neither alarmed, sad, happy, distraught, despondent. I'm going to give up. It was just in his mind because of all the different births he had gone through. It was just a different form. But he remains fixed in the belief, Sri Ram, Sri Ram. I was immediately transformed into a crow. Thereupon I bowed my head as the crow to the sage's feet again and again, and my thoughts on Sri Ram, the jewel of the Raghu's line, I joyfully, without any burden, joyfully flew off. Parvati Devi, they who are devoted to the feet of Sri Ram are free from lust, vanity, anger, and look upon the whole world as full of their Lord in different forms. God is standing in front of you. Just as we could say the Shaligram is Lord Vishnu, the fig tree is Lord Vishnu, the whole world in different walks of life. Therefore, these people do not harbor animosity, prejudice, hatred to any form. In this way, this is an example that if someone comes and the question is asked about transgender, gay, homosexuality, God constitutes everything. It may not be our preference, it may not be our tradition, and I understand that difference, but different is not damned in Sanatana Dharma. There are many references to the third gender. There are many places of that. But only after you educate yourself on teachings like this do you understand the depth and the far-reaching of God's creation. When we hear last night about the different forms that God created that didn't make sense to kakabhsundi, this is an example when we talk about gender roles and gender differences, that it shows that there are more, and there is more than me and you could conceive or understand or accustomed to. We see it in today's world with disease. 100 years ago, there was no COVID. There were maybe not the form of cancer, different forms of circulatory ailments. But as time is passing, and maybe as we advance in Kali Yuga, things are changing. Genetic disorders are propping up in a way that we never saw it before. There are different sicknesses, and I am not making gender issues and sexuality issues akin to sickness. I'm using just as an example of how God, who is the creator of all, creates different things beyond our capacity to understand and appreciate, because it's different. The difference is the problem. That is, I may know about that, but that is the truth. you don't know about it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. As Sanatanists, we appreciate. Who make the rose? Ram. Who make the rose sweet? Ram. Then he make the thorn too. And in that way, the person who sees in the whole world full of their Lord, Doha 112, in this type of person, in this type of devotee, because everybody has God in them. And this is why the Sanatanists hold to Namaste. I bow to the divinity inside of you. These people are incapable of harboring animosity. The sage, kakabhsundi, in the crow, he fly away. The sage was in no way wrong or in fault. Oh Garud, it was Sri Ram who prompts everybody heart, who prompts people to say and do the things. The all-merciful Lord put my devotion to the test by clouding the sage's behavior, reaction, judgment. When he came to know I was truly devoted to him, I didn't react bad, I didn't, get angry, but I was truly his servant in thought, word, and deed. The Maya of Sri Ram was lifted off Lomas Rishi, and the money came back to his senses, calmness, amazed at the extraordinary forbearance of me becoming this crow, with unique faith to Sri Ram's feet. Repenting again and again, politely he coaxed me back and called me back. He consoled me in every way and gladly imparted upon me formulas related to Sri Ram's worship. The gracious sage also taught me how to meditate on Sri Ram. In simple language, imagine I'm asking you today. Sri Ram Navami is coming, birthday of Sri Ram. What is supposed to be in Ram Prasad? What is supposed to be in Ram in the Dar or the color of the Ram flag? These things, amongst others, was taught to him by Guruji. The form which I was taught to fix my thoughts upon Sri Ram, charming, delightful as it was, pleased me so much. I already told you the same. I choose to remain in this form because it is this kak form, this crow form that took me closer to Sri Ram. The sage detained me in his hermitage, and there he recited Ram Charitramanas, the Manas lake of the exploits of Sri Ram. Having reverently repeated the story, he addressed me in the following ways. I discovered the secret and charming lake of Sri Ram, their son, by the grace of Shambhu. And I have come to know that you are a beloved devotee of Sri Ram. Hence I have given this secret to you. Never repeat this, dear child, in the presence of those people who are devoid of devotion to Sri Ram. Guiding me in this way, I bowed my head to his feet for the last time. The sage touched my head with his lotus-like palm, soft to the touch, gladly gave me his blessings. Henceforth, by his grace, devotion to Sri Ram shall never leave or be interrupted from my heart or my mind. You shall always be a favorite to Sri Ram, a storehouse of good qualities, free from pride. Changing your form, you will have, O kakabhsundi, change your form at will. Choose your own timing of death, and you will become a repository of wisdom and dispassion. In whatever hermitage you live, with your thought fixed on the Lord, ignorance will never, Maya, delusion will never have access to a radius of 8 miles of wherever you live. For example, if we are reading kakabhsundi, this discourse is read at different times. There's a blessing for reading different books, different things. So when you read kakabhsundi discourse, this part here where it says the radius of 8 miles, delusion, when people are, let me say, addicted to different things, people are acting up, people would read this so that the environment benefits, the environment is transformed. No suffering that is caused by time, feet, karma, merit, demerit, upward movement, downward movement, or disposition shall ever torment you. The mysteries, the charming mysteries of Sri Ram that have been mentioned in the chronicles of the Puran, the Ved, etc. texts, implicitly or explicitly, you will come to know them all without any difficulty, and the flame of your devotion to Sri Ram will only grow and brighter and become brighter as time will pass. Whatever longing you may entertain in your mind, you shall without difficulty attain it by his grace. On hearing these benedictory remarks, O Garud, a steadfast, deep voice, which was evident, the voice of the Supreme Paramatma, was heard from the, you imagine the step outside and from the heavenly region. May your prophecy, O Guruji, O enlightened sage, be granted, may it come true. He will always be my devotee in thought, word, and deed. I rejoiced to hear that heavenly voice and stood overwhelmed with love, rid of all doubts. On receiving the sage's permission in response to my prayer, I repeatedly bowed my head to his feet and gladly came away to this hermitage here now where we are sitting discussing this katha. Listen, O my feathered friend, I have now lived in this hermitage for 27 rounds of creation. Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Kaliyug, 27 times in this one place. I am ever engaged in the hymning or chanting of the praises of Sri Ram, whilst enlightened birds reverently listen to them whilst I'm singing, because they come every day to hear. Each time the hero of the Raghul race takes birth, he assumes form as a man in the city of Ayodhya. For the sake of his devotee, he takes form. I go and I stay in the capital of Sri Ram, enjoying the spectacle of his childish sports. Last time we heard how he loves the Baal form of Sri Ram, and he says he continues to do it. Again, enshrining the image of the child Ram in my heart, I will come after 5 years. I come back here as he continues his work, as time continues to roll by. And I wait here until such time he is going to come again to take birth. O King of birds, I have now told you all the circumstances that has infested me in the form of devotion and has given to me the form of a crow. Why am I a crow? And all your queries have now been answered. By the glory of devotion to Sri Ram's feet, I bless you. I love this body only because it is this body of all the different forms I had that gave me the feet of Sri Ram, that sprang up in my heart as devotion, and I was blessed with the sight of the Lord, and all my doubts disappeared. Prem se bolo Siyapati Ramachandra ki Jai. And I'm pausing here at Doha, I'm going to say slok, Doha 114a. So when next you go into satsang and you hear the person singing, Mujhe apani sharan mein le lo Ram, O Shri Ram, grant me refuge at your feet. If not for my eyes, if I can't see you, if I can't hold you in my heart, grant me shelter at your feet. You trapped me in this life when you gave me birth. You confused me with your Maya. But grant me shelter at your feet. Mujhe apani sharan mein le lo Ram. Mujhe apani sharan mein le lo Ram. Prem se bolo Mahapati Mahadeva ki Jai. I hope you enjoyed your discourses for these series of Yagya that we have endeavored into here at the Sri Krishna Seva Ashram. As we bring the curtain down on this, our third session, I encourage you all to follow us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel as we continuously load satsang after satsang. And I wanted to do this effort virtually because there are many people throughout the world, people who are, because of different circumstances, would not be able to venture to their temple in their district or in their country or in their area. As weather is different with winter, as the different season, different crime situation in Trinidad and different parts of the world, everybody has challenges in this Kali Yuga, here comes a safe means and method for people to still enjoy the Katha of Sri Ram. It was my pleasure to be your guru in this endeavor. And I'm thankful for all those at Sankhya TV, the sponsors, those that ask their questions, those people that have been messaging and asking things that guided my research, that guided me to read what I read. I am in no way going to complete Ramayana in 3 sessions. So there would be discourses that I'm sure somebody wants to hear. Feel free, whether it is on my WhatsApp, you have my number. I'm on WhatsApp a lot, or on YouTube, or on Facebook, or through Sankhya Television. You could send it there. Send me a message what you would like to hear. If there's a discourse you're not too sure about, we've done so many in these 3 different yagya that we did over the weeks, but more to do. And as I am going to embark on Seva in the course of Trinidad, going up and down doing yagya, you will see more as I'll record it for your discourse, for your knowledge and for your appreciation. God gives people based on their karma. That is our belief as Sanatanis. By His grace, Sri Ram has allowed us to discuss and learn together about His form and His force. I hope again, as I conclude, I hope you really learn and appreciate your bhajans. That bhajan, that word is defined as adoration. I adore Sri Ram, so I'm going to sing a bhajan for Sri Ram. But make sure, dear singers, again, my final plea, make sure you know the meaning of what you are saying, so that maybe with a little more feelings, you could gain blessing from what you are doing and not just do something. Do it the right way is what I'm saying. God bless you all. Keep up the good work that you are doing. If you would like to join with us when we are doing our various charities, our different drives, our different cleanup of various hospital visits, food drives, can drives, clothing drive, different things, please message me and get involved today. We need people. In the month of July, we have different yagya carded here at the ashram, but we also have a lot home and abroad, different activities carded to help people that need help. And if God gives you the initiative or the thought that I could do more, if just with your physical hands, as I explained before, if you could make the best mahanbhog, for example, please let me know. Volunteer your services, volunteer your help in whatever way. Later in the year, we'll be doing things with school books for children locally. And if you would like to join the mentorship program for those people who have had experience in farming, plumbing, electrical, in the academic sense, in the secular knowledge, in spiritual knowledge, you name it, there would be a procedure, because as I said, we have to get vetted by the authorities. But we look forward with open arms. We look forward to meeting and greeting and starting to see how best we could work with you to positively impact these young children. I encourage you to get in touch with me today. Please remember, subscribe to my YouTube. Please like and share the satsang on Facebook. You could join me on TikTok. I'm there as well. We do different teachings there, and always on Sankhya Television. Everybody, until we get to meet in satsang again, thank you. Let's do a Visarjan as we conclude. Katha Visarjan ho tu hai, suno veera Hanuman, jo jan jaase aaya hai, te tah karo payan. जय जय राजा राम की, जय लक्ष्मण बलवान, जय कपीस सुग्रीव की, जय अंगर जय हनुमान, जय जय काग भुषुंड की, जय गिरि उमा महेश, जय ऋषि भरद्वाज की, जय तुलसी अवधेश कथा विसर्जन हो तुहे सुनो वीर हनुमान जो जन जासे आया है तेतह करो पयान. This Vidai Geet is readily available to any of you that would like it. If you would like a copy of this, send me a message and I'll make it available. In our Ramayana, we cannot, like in every other text, all you know when I'm reading, I just do my summary. And I encourage proper procedure or standard in our reading. Do not get caught up in how you call them, inspirational speakers that come from Western civilization and different religion. We have our unique style, and if you want to be authentic, it doesn't mean you have to follow another religion. When reading, we have dates. When we look for Agnivyas and we set our dates, there are things to be done to invoke it and then to do Visarjan and all that. And if we follow the procedure, then the experience is more beneficial, not only for yourself as the person giving the pravachan, but also for the listening public, whether in person or through the airwaves. I encourage people to, urge your pundits and your leaders, your sadhus, those people that are guiding the temple in a humble way, in a respectful way, to get the copy for them. Baba, could you sing this? Guruji, could you sing this? And allow the satsang, the standard of our satsang, to go back to where it was. I'm not perfect by any means, and I still make mistakes start to finish. I am subject to correction on everything I do, but if we don't hold, as many pundits, as all pundits are doing, as imperfect as we are, if we do not hold back the tide to hold some standard, Kali Yuga will, and other religion and other people and people who feel it should be so, and this thinking, as you heard tonight, would just railroad our dharma, and what stood the test of time would fold in no time. So we are not perfect. We have an imperfect situation, but if we work together, we could improve. We could improve. So I encourage you all to work to do better in different ways: charity, prayers, your personal growth, your personal benefit. Do it. God bless you. God bless you always. Together, let's conclude, everybody. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva Tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Prem Sabalo Mahapati Mahadeva ki jai, Pauna Putra Hanuman ki jai, Shri Adi Shakti Mata ki jai, Siyabhara Ramachandra ki jai, Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Satya Sanatan Dharma ki jai. Jai Jai Sitaram. Sabko Sitaram, everybody. Sitaram, everybody. God bless you. Until we meet again. Be well, and God protect and guide each and every one of you. Sitaram.